Alright, so this is the video for lesson 6 on absolute value of numbers. So let's start with the engage. Oh, I started that off with way too much energy. I'm sorry, I'm still not feeling well. But I don't care what the doctor said. I plan on being back on Friday unless I end up back in the hospital. So, for each pair of expressions, decide mentally which one has a value that is closer to 0. So in other words, we don't want to use calculators, we don't want to use anything other than our brains. And again, you should have been watching this, you should be watching this video after you've done this in your books and tried this on your own. So, for A, well, which one is closer to 0? Well, these are both, that shouldn't have come up. These are both out of 11, so 9 and 15. 9 is closer to 0, so stop doing that. Be nice. Of course it wants to do that. Now let's try that again. And so, that one. Now, 1/5 or 1/9. Well, I'm going to say common sense here, but I already know that as soon as I say that, it's not common sense. It's something that should be if we know our multiplication and division facts, but yeah, it is what it is. So, now, 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 9. Well, 1 out of 5, think of this as probability. You have a greater chance of winning if you have a 1 out of 5 chance than a 1 out of 9 chance. So that means 1 out of 9 is closer to 0. And so 1.25 or 5/4. Well, 1.25, well, is the same as 5/4 because 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over, so that's 1 1/4. This is 1 1/4, so they are the same. And now here, well, this is 0.01, so that's 1 over 100. And this is 1 over 1,000. And so closer to 0 is 1 over 1,000, because that's smaller. So it's looking for the smaller number each time. And so there we go. So that's all that's happening there. Okay. So now, for activity 1, question number 1. A flea is jumping around on a number line. Okay. So, fleas, horrible things. Okay. But a flea starts at 1 and jumps 4 units to the right. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does it end up? Well, 2, 3, 4. So it ends up at 5. It ends up at 5. How far away from 0 is this? It is 5 units away from 0. Because, well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I'm going to switch colors. Because, well, different question. So if the flea starts at 1 and jumps 4 units to the left, so I'm starting here and I'm going 4 units to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does it end up? Well, that's -1, -2, -3. And so it ends up at -3. And so that is 1, 2, 3 units away. So it is 3 units away from 0. Now, notice the distance from 0 is always positive. Okay? Now, so let's switch colors again. So if the flea starts at 0 and jumps 3 units away, where might it land? Well, if it starts at 0 and goes 3 units away, 1, 2, 3, well, then it could land three, or well, if we go, that's if it went right. Well, if it went left, 1, 2, 3, then -3. So it could land at 3 or -3. So it all depends on if it went right or left. It didn't tell us which way it went. So it's a matter of which way does it go. And so now, if the flea jumps 7 units and lands at 0, where could it have started? So, again, we got 7 units. So, it doesn't say if it went, right or left. So, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so there we are. But then if it had come from the other direction, -4, -5, negative, and there we go. And so it could be at -7 or +7. So it could have started at either one. Okay, now this is the key. I already said that this was what it is, but here's the formal definition. Okay, so the absolute value of a number is the distance from 0. And so that means it's always positive. So let's go with this. The flea is currently to the left of 0, and the absolute value of its location is 4. Where in the number line is it? Well, since I can't flip back and forth, without making everybody sick by going, all over the place, well, we know here's 0, and it says its absolute value is 4, so that means it's 4 away from 0, and it's left is what it said, right? Left of 0, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, so, and so that means it's -4. Now, if the flea is to the left of 0 and the absolute value of its location is 5, well, then it's at -5. Because from here to here is 4. From here to here is 5. So if it's left of 0 and its absolute value is 5, so the distance from that point to 0 is 5, then it's got to be at -5. Now, if the flea is to the right of 0 and its location is 2.5, and its absolute value is 2.5, well, again, 1, 2, 3, and so we know its distance. Scroll up so I got room. Is 2.5. Well, then the point has to be halfway between 2 and 3, and so 2.5. And so it's at, since it's to the right, it's at positive 2.5. Now, again, some notation. Now, when we actually write this instead of typing it, it's going to look a little funny because, you know, none of our handwriting is perfect, especially mine. And so, like, if I write this, it's going to look like, and so that looks like 1 minus 21. But it's absolute value of -2. And so we say the absolute value of -2. And so it means the distance from -2 of -2 from 0 on the number line. So how far is -7 from 0? Well, it's 7. We just make the number positive. And if it's already positive, it stays positive. So how far is 1.8 from 0 on the number line? 1.8. And again, we can draw a number line to see it. So and so here's -7. And so from here all the way to here is going to be a distance of 7. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So 7 spots. And then for 1.8, well, so we're going from here to here. Well, that's 0.8, and that's 1, and so it's 1.8. Okay, and distance is always positive. You can't have a negative distance. It's like saying, here's a ruler, draw me -2 inches. Doesn't matter which way you draw the line, it's still 2 inches long. All right. So, activity 2. So, a part of the city of New Orleans is 6 feet below sea level. And so we can say negative 6 feet to describe its elevation, and at the absolute value of negative 6 feet to describe its vertical distance from sea level. So, in the context of elevation, what would each of the following numbers describe? Well, 25 feet would be 25 feet above sea level. Okay? And now, one of the reasons for that, okay? Go away. Go away. I don't need multiple calculators. And I don't even know what you are. Oh, alright. I'll update that computer later. Alright. So, if this is sea level, that's 0. Well, 25 is here. Because it's positive, it's above sea level. And so we went up to get there. And so the absolute value of 25 is the vertical distance from sea level. Well, negative 8 feet. Well, that'd be down here. So, because it went down, it's below sea level. So positives are up here, negatives are down here. So 8 feet below sea level. And so this would be the vertical distance from sea level, 8 feet. And so, just to clarify, 25 feet. Okay? And so, draw a little sketch so that we can see it. And so, because, it's 8 feet to get to sea level, so that's why the distance is positive, the absolute value is positive. So the elevation of a city is different from sea level by 10 feet. Name the 2 elevations the city could have. Well, again, I'm going to go back to this little sketch I made here. So since it doesn't say if it's above or below, then I could go up to 10 or down to negative 10. And so the elevations could be 10 feet above sea level or 10 feet below sea level. 10 feet or negative 10 feet. All right. Number 3. So we write -5 degrees Celsius to describe a temperature that is 5 degrees Celsius below freezing point, and 5 degrees Celsius for a temperature that is 5 degrees above freezing point. And so what are each of these? And so in this context, what do each of these numbers represent? So 1 degree above freezing. And -4 would be 4 degrees below freezing. Okay, so again, there's vertical number line, and so here's 0, my freezing. And so 1 is right there. -4 is right there. Now the absolute value of +12. Well, the distance between freezing and 12 degrees, and that would be 7. I'm already thinking about the next question. I apologize for that. It would be 12. And so for -7, the absolute value of -7 would be the distance between, let's fix this. I'm going to have to fix the question above this as well, but it's not much of a fix. Between 7 degrees below freezing and freezing. And that would be 7. And so now, like I said, fixing the question above, between 10 and 12 degrees above freezing, and that would be 12. Okay, and so now, which temperature is colder? -6 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius? Well, 3 degrees Celsius is above 0, and -6 is below 0. I'm in that dead spot there on my tablet, so I apologize for that. And so since it's lower on the number line there, then -6 degrees Celsius because it is below freezing. Okay. Which temperature is closer to freezing? -6 or 3? All right. 3 degrees Celsius because it is only 3 units away. Wow. -6 degrees Celsius is 6 units away. And so, which has a smaller absolute value? No. Three degrees has a smaller absolute value. Has a smaller absolute value because it is closer to 0. Alright, so now on EdSite you're going to be doing questions 1 to 3. Let's see. 4, 5. Yep, we're going to do all 6. All 6 on EdSite. Alright. Okay, and so that's the lesson. And so you're going to do all 6 questions on EdSite.